society's conditions, they tell us that we have to put this cool mask on, right? From a maybe from a Jungian perspective, we wear these masks, and these masks protect us from being embarrassed or afraid about vulnerability, about sharing our real feelings with each other. Okay. I mean, the mask can serve all kinds of purposes, but that's one of the purposes that they can serve. And um, speaking of these masks, my friend Don, in his last text message to me, talked about how difficult it is for us to break through all of the maskness or the societal conditioning that has happened in subtle ways since the beginning of our memories, in our families and in society, in literature, in social media. So we've got to take the mask off every once in a while and take risks and be vulnerable with each other. That's what getting real requires sometimes. Do you have friends where you've maybe been friends for a long time, and before you hang up the phone, one of you says, "I love you," and maybe think about the first time that that happened? And to me, I think about that. It always takes that when one person says, "Oh, I love you," and then it becomes a habit between you. That act of deciding to say "I love you" to a longtime friend every time you hang up the phone with each other, that's getting real, isn't it? It's getting so real. And it's, to me, it's kind of what Rumi was talking about, this idea of leaving social mores and standards behind. Rumi was talking about moving out beyond ideas of right and wrong, beyond judgment, beyond politics. There's a field, I'll meet you there. This where the world is too full to talk about. It's beyond words. That's the beauty. And that's what I think Rumi was capturing. So speaking of getting real, I want to share a couple of examples of where getting real happened in a big way in my life. And one of them was I was young. I think I was probably 12 years old, and my mom was upset with me, and she was upset with me and upset with me, and she got my dad upset with me. You know what I'm talking about? So through her being upset with me, my dad caught on, and he was upset because she was upset, but he was upset with me as well. So it began to be this escalating thing, and it was time, you know, this is when my dad doled out the punishment. And in those days, spanking was a thing. It was a normal thing, and even an occasional whipping with the belt, that, at least in my family, was a thing. And so that was what was about to happen. My dad, we were in this room, he had his hands on my shoulders, and he was like, his teeth were clenched. He was just getting so angry, and he was about to give me a whipping with this belt. And I don't know what created this in me, but I felt the right and perfect thing that I was feeling was, "I love you, Dad." And so I said, "I love you, Dad." And he looked at me and he dropped this belt and he hugged me and he said, "I love you too, son." And we held each other and we cried. And I later in life, I realized it was my mom said, "I love you" every day, but my dad, I don't really have any memories of him saying "I love you" until that moment. It just wasn't, he was very inner, and maybe it was a male thing. I don't know, but um, after this "I love you" happened, he was in tears and I was in tears, and we didn't know how to handle that. Emotional intelligence wasn't a book that was written in those days. So I went to the other side of the house and I just went to my room and I just cried. I just couldn't stop the tears. It was like something chemically was happening in my body, and I'm sure it was happening for him too. This release of, yes, finding love for each other. Um, yeah, someone said in the chat, I think it was your kid way of saying "I forgive you, Dad." Yeah, I think it was a lot of things. I think it was a lot of things. So I'll just say that this closeness after that moment, it forever changed things between us, forever changed things between us. And there was a closeness that would last always. And I looking back on my dad's life, he passed away many years ago. I would say that is the most significant moment in my relationship with my dad. So fast forward to another get real moment, 47 years later. This is about a year and a half ago. My fiance, I can say my fiance's Jen, her son Phoenix, he's about 16 at this time. He's 17 now. And we weren't living together yet. All of us weren't living together. And he was visiting my house in San Jose. And he and Jen were it was Sunday night. He and Jen were getting ready to leave to go back to San Francisco. And this 16-year-old Phoenix gives me a hug, which wasn't entirely unusual, but he said, "I love you." And that was huge. Here's a 16-year-old stepping into the emotional intelligence world of someone well beyond his years and, just being comfortable in that. He was comfortable in that. And so that was him getting real. So I ask you, what are the moments in your life where you have gotten real with somebody, or someone has gotten real with you, or you've gotten real with each other in an indelible way, in a beautiful way? So think about that. And also, to get real, I think we have to look at one thing. It's helpful to look at this time as a teacher. I've said before, we behave as though we have time, but we do have time. Most of us have lots of time, but behaving as if we have lots of time is the thing we have to look at, because if we won't live with the proper intensity. And so I think it means we need to stop that habit of looking at time casually. Stop looking at just being an observer passively in our life and be this active agent in the now, as Eckhart Tolle would say. And somehow, more often, live like this is the first day of our life and live like this is the last day of our life. So how do we do that? How do we create that intensity? I mean, I think it's not easy. It's something that we have to keep on coming back to, because the brain just wants to normalize everything. The brain wants to just say, if miracles are happening every second, miracles are happening every day, which they are, the brain wants to standardize and say, that's just all vanilla, So don't let the brain do that. And the way we do that is by remembering to remember that everything is a miracle. One of those ways we do that is by coming back here. It's a spiritual practice. Speaking of the intensity of the moment, I'm going to take a sip of water. I'm getting all choked up. Speaking of the intensity of the moment and getting real, I've been thinking about this song, 525,600 minutes. 525,600 minutes. It's from Rent, this Broadway production. It's also a movie worth watching. About early 90s, there was a AIDS epidemic, and this particular the setting was in New York, and they were talking about the preciousness of life. They were talking about the preciousness of life. When I raised my hand, it created a raise hand mark, so I'm going to lower my hand. Zoom is just too smart. Anyway, this 525,600 minutes song that came out of Rent was basically saying, how do we measure a year in our lives? We can measure it by 525,600 minutes. We can measure it by midnights and sunsets and cups of coffee, etc. Right? Yeah, Jesse, you're singing it right? Or the whole point of the song is, or we can measure it in love. We can measure it in love. And I say, all these examples of getting real that I talked about their love. So let's measure the intensity, let's measure the success of our life in terms of love. All right. So what does getting real mean for you? I mean, this is a huge topic. You can apply all kinds of things to this, but I'll say that maybe it means saying I love you more often to those you love. And maybe it means I talked a couple years ago about, instead of using the word gratitude, I'm grateful for you, talking to someone and telling them how much you appreciate them. I appreciate you. I so appreciate this about you and that about you. And it's a very much more direct way than saying I'm grateful for you. Maybe it means letting go of regrets and shame and I'm not enough and lack and limitation thinking and embracing the CEO of my own life moment, because I'm quoting Mel Robbins, the psychologist. Embrace the CEO of your life, because the bottom line is no one is coming. No one is coming to push you. No one is coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. Well, maybe they are. No one's coming to write your life plan for you. You have to write your life plan for you. No one's coming to save you except yourself. So I think another way of saying this, and I'll quote another song title, is simply in your life, getting real by saying what you need to say, whether it's to yourself or others. Have the hard conversations, saying what you need to say. And there's a song by John Mayer, Say What You Need to Say. And Jesse's actually we're gonna get lucky enough to hear her sing this song. That came up as an idea last night, and she put it together. And it's really good. So John Mayer says in this song, say what you need to say. Know that in the end, it's better to say too much than never to say what you needed to say. It's better to say too much. Don't have any regrets. So I close with these thoughts. I come back to Don and Marianne. They both left behind a legacy of authenticity, of being unashamed to be purely themselves, getting real with everybody in their lives, getting real with themselves. You can tell they did that work. And consequently, both of them were bigger than life. You know, when you see a person that people say, oh yeah, that person, they were bigger than life. What does that mean? I think it means people have gotten real with themselves such that they are unapologetically themselves and they exude this energy. People want to be around them. So with Marianne exuded joy. She embodied joy. She didn't let anything get her down. There are things that she persevered that would have knocked other people down. She never gave up hope. People were drawn to her. They wanted to be around her. So bigger than life. Both she and Don were bigger than life. So, and regarding my friend Don, he sent me a text on his last day, and he said this in the text. He said, our culture teaches us false modesty. Our culture teaches us to hold back to the detriment of our society and to the detriment of each one of us. So he was saying, don't hold back. He was saying we need to get real. And he wanted to have this discussion with me, and he liked to philosophize on things, and he wanted to explore this topic. We never got to explore it. So I am taking this forward, his suggestion, by saying to you, I'm reading his text to you, we got to get real and forget what about society is teaching us to do. So I'm going to close with this. Don had a beautiful family. His wife, Deanna, 3 daughters, 9 great-grandchildren, and 9 grandchildren and 13 great-grandchildren. And he stopped everyone. They were at a party. It was in 2023, Deanna tells me they were at this birthday party outside, and I saw a video of this moment. It was beautiful. There was a fire going, and he stopped everybody to read this poem on his birthday. And everyone was holding sacred space for him. It was a get real moment with the family. My family never did anything like that. They would never like hold this sacred space while one person read along. I mean, and I don't know about your family, but this was a wonderful thing. And so I'm going to read this poem to you that Don read to his family about a year and a half ago. It's called Clearing the Way by Alora Knight. I have waited quite a long time to get old, so I think I should try to enjoy it. I can't turn it in for a refund, and I surely don't want to destroy it. They tell me that life is a one-way street, as if I'm too dumb to know. I might as well keep moving forward. There's not much choice where to go. I would like to lighten the luggage I've accumulated over the years. I'd be smart to release all the memories that brought heartache and tears. That would make living much better, freeing up space that could then be filled with appreciation for the good things in life. A future that lives for the moment with little concern for the past. My time will be filled with contentment, no matter how long it will last. So now that I'm ready for the rest of the trip, I foresee no problems ahead. I'll make each day be a worthwhile event with no regrets for the life that I've led. So in closing, I'll say, let's get real like Don did. Let's get real like Mary Ann did and say what you need to say. And so it is.
And so it is. Take all of your wasted honor, every little past frustration. Take all of your so-called problems, better put them in quotations. Oh, and say what you need to say. 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 Sing it. Say what you need to say. 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 Walking like a one-man army, fighting with the shadows in your head, living on the same old moment, knowing you'll be better off instead. If you could only say what you need to say. 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 Have no fear for giving in. Have no fear for giving over. You better know that in the end it's better to say too much than never to say what you need to say again. Even if your hands are shaking, even as the eyes are closing, do it with a heart wide open, wide, and say what you need to say. 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 Say what you need to, say what you need to, say what you need to say. 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 Say what you need to say.